Hello, and welcome to EDU 3370, Day 5. Today you have no new readings or videos because you are really going to start using what you've learned throughout the week to put in this final unit lesson plan. Now there are a few documents that I have attached in Day 5 that might help you as you go through this process, but they are not mandatory, so it's up to you whether you use them or not. The assignments today include the last discussion forum and then the lesson plan unit. So the lesson plan unit really has you creating a 5-day plan that includes some phonics instruction, and that could be for a very small group of students that might just need a little bit of help in that area. Some vocabulary instruction, reading with students, so fluency, they're practicing their reading, any other types of things, how you can incorporate reading within a lesson. Now, you may choose to do just a reading lesson. Maybe if you're in elementary, your unit might be really concentrating on reading. Or you may choose a content area in order to teach reading through that content area. So maybe social studies, history, or science. If you're a secondary teacher, you may use your content area to teach reading through that. So you will need both content area standards and reading standards in order to fulfill that. So I'm going to go to the next slide and tell you a little bit more about what needs to be included in the lesson plan. One of the things I wanted to tell you is that you may use the differentiated activities you created earlier in the week to put in your lesson plan. So you already have some ideas, so go ahead and throw those in because it will just make this whole thing just a little bit easier to swallow, because I know that a 5-day unit plan can be overwhelming, but you can use what you've already created. Next, I have uploaded an example plan for you. I think that will be most helpful so that you can see what is expected in each of the areas of the lesson plan template. Now, about the lesson plan template, I know, people at Florida Southern College know that teachers do not write lesson plans this way. We know that. We're not oblivious to that. However, we ask you to do this in order for us to see what your thinking process is. We know that many of you can differentiate on your feet. You can think about things as the lesson progresses, so you don't have to write a lot of details in your plans. Unfortunately, we can't read your minds and we're not watching you teach. So in order for you to show us that you have completely thought of everything, you have to put it in words and in the lesson plan template. This also teaches you to think through each of the steps as you plan the lesson. So don't be offended that the lesson plan is very detailed. It is just for your instructor to be able to see that you understand each part of putting a complete lesson together. So the lesson plan unit includes these things. So I just wrote them down briefly. So you may use text in both print and digital formats, technology in your classroom. You're providing some reteaching in small groups. So you know your class, you're just preparing in advance. Now, if you are teaching in a classroom or you taught last year, I would suggest you kind of use that class as like a hypothetical class, because you know the students in there and you know who you would have to use to group. However, if you weren't teaching or you just want to go on the fly, then you're going to need to kind of make up a class, because many of the things that you need to write in are class specific and student specific. Administrators and faculty need to know when you are writing a lesson plan that you are doing so by keeping the specific students in the class in mind. So include those hypothetical names or names from previous classes. If you have any questions about the lesson plan unit, please look at the sample lesson plan first, ask the questions in the blog, and then, of course, email your instructor. This is your last day of the course. Work hard, and I hope you have learned a lot this week about differentiating instruction for students.